What's happening, everybody? Welcome to Red Zone Sports. We've got Showdown. Thursday night, here we go. Cowboys hosting the Seahawks. We've got two playoff teams going at it here. Cowboys fighting for a wild card at this point, having lost to the 49ers. Cowboys also fighting to keep their position in the wild card. And then seeing if the Niners can beat the Eagles this week, and if they will then have a shot to beat them the week after that. So interesting game tonight. I think this is one of those games where Dallas is favored by 9. I actually like, from a betting perspective, playing the Seahawks plus the points in this one. I'm just concerned about Dallas. You know, they're not a mentally strong team, in my opinion. They beat the shit out of really bad teams, and I don't think that the Seahawks are a bad team by any stretch of the imagination. I think that matchup towards next week versus the Eagles, this could be a little bit of a trap game for them, and I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I think the Seahawks will cover that 9 points, because I think what the Seahawks are going to want to do is, control the ball, run the ball, and try and control the clock a little bit. So, from a showdown perspective, I mean, Dak is definitely, going to be pretty highly owned, projected around 60%. That means in single entry and 3 max, he's probably going to be somewhere in the 70 to 75% range. If you're going to play Dak, I think you just got to play him at captain. I like him there a lot more than I do playing him at the flex, but I'm fine playing with him at the flex as well. CD is probably my favorite captain option if we're talking about who we're going to there. I think he's just ultra premium. He's very expensive, so it looks like people are just going to play him in the captain or not at all. So I think it's interesting. I think he's a fine flex play if you want to play him there too. But I like him as a captain. He is coming in as the highest owned captain, so yeah, no shock that I like him as a captain. My favorite captain of the night is actually, I think Geno Smith presents a really interesting opportunity. I think that Dallas obviously knows that they're going to want to come in and try and run the ball, and they're going to try and make Geno pass a little bit to beat them. Geno has had a very bad year. Let's just face it. It's a reason why I wanted nothing to do with him in best ball. I stayed away from most of the Seahawks receivers. It's just not something I was particularly interested in being involved with, right? So, I think that tonight he might have one of those games that is not too bad. The Cowboys defense, while very good, is not like the craziest thing on the face of the planet, right? So I think that he presents us with a very interesting option as far as a very unique captain. Going to be very low owned, right? Much more low owned than his receivers. DK only 6%, Lockett going to be towards like 9%. So if you want to get contrarian and tell yourself the story, right? Because that's what we always have to figure out is like, hey, what's the story going to be of this game, right? If we think the Cowboys are going to be up and Seahawks having to pass to come back, I think it's very interesting to play Geno at the captain. Then you can play like a Pollard and, Cooks at the flex with like all of Geno's wide receivers on him. And I think it's a nice option to get to, right? So I definitely think that the kickers are certainly in play. We've got Jason Myers at a positive 14% leverage, which is crazy. Shows up in the optimal about 30% of the time. People are only playing him about 18% of the time. This is basically saying that the Seahawks are going to stall in the red zone more and have more opportunities at field goals, and which, Pete is a fairly conservative coach. He will take the option to just take the field goal over going for it a number of times. Try to play a little bit more conservatively, especially on the road. But I like getting both kickers into a lineup tonight. I don't think you need to go as crazy as putting him in a captain, but if you were going to captain a kicker, I think it's Myers over Aubrey. I think Aubrey, if you think that the Cowboys are going to kick their ass, that means Aubrey's probably only going to be kicking extra points. The Cowboys have also shown a very aggressive nature this year to come in and want to, go for it a lot of fourth downs and stuff like that. So, out of the kickers, I like them both. Myers is my guy, and the optimals are reflecting that. So not a ton of positive leverage spots we can get to on the slate tonight. But I do like Cooks. He is popping up very, very low owned. He's overpriced maybe a little bit. But that presents us with an opportunity to kind of get to him then. I think I would like to get him into quite a bit of lineups. I'm cool playing him as like a run back to a Seattle onslaught, pairing him with like Pollard or something like that. Definitely think that is pretty interesting. Jackson Smith and Jigba, don't have a ton of interest in him. If DK or Lockett were hurt, then maybe, but as it stands, no. Kevonta Turpin is probably the guy I want quite a bit of tonight down at 2,600. He's the guy I'm willing to take the shot on down here. Going to be virtually unowned at about 2%, but is showing up in the optimals almost 12% of the time. And that's kind of some of the value that we need for tonight. Schoonmaker, all right. Kenny McIntosh is my personal favorite, nothing to do with the last name, trust me, right? But Kenny McIntosh is my preferred guy that I'm going to all the way down, right? And he's $200. DJ Dallas is obviously going to be active tonight, but DJ Dallas is mostly the kick returner, along with Eskridge. I would rather just play $1,000 less for McIntosh. I think I can improve my lineup more using that $1,000 elsewhere than playing it on DJ Dallas, right? Other than that, man, you've really got nobody. You got, like I said, you've got Schoonmaker. I'm not a big fan of Tolbert. Not a big fan of Gallup. Again, for pricing, I would just rather go down to Turpin. Dowdle is an interesting play at only 10%. It's just one of those things that, you got to think that he is getting some run. I might chuck him into a lineup or two, but going from there, not super interesting. So again, my favorite captains for tonight, guys, I think it's a pretty straightforward thing. I like CeeDee Lamb. I think Dak is an interesting contrarian captain. Super contrarian captain is going to be Geno Smith, or one of the Seattle wide receivers, Lockett. Lockett's been pretty quiet lately, and he tends to have those pretty big spike games. I think that Lockett is a guy that I really probably would like. I think the Cowboys defense, I typically don't play defense a whole lot. I think the Cowboys defense might be an interesting play here. And if I'm going to play the Cowboys defense, I'm honestly going to put them in the captain spot tonight. So I think that's a weird kind of different play. My two favorite value guys, well, we'll give you three, I guess. Going to be Turpin at 2,600. Kevonta Turpin. I don't hate Schoonmaker. He's probably number 3 on my rankings, but Kenny McIntosh at 200 is the guy that I'm going to for the value. Guys, thank you so much. Like, share, subscribe. We just, we really do appreciate all the support. We've had a really good year of growth this year. Make sure to follow us on X at JJ McIntosh, at Notorious VJL, and at Joey Props. We're going to be recording our Week 13 show tonight, and that'll be out in the morning. So please look for that, and good luck on Showdown tonight.